What does it mean by data engineering? So to know data engineering, as I told you that we are into data-driven technologies. In data-driven technologies, these are the three career options most of the people follow. That is data analytics, not analytics, that is data analyst. Data analyst. Another is career option is data science professionals, and then you have data engineering. How we can differentiate these three? That we should know. First of all, when talking about data analyst, see the career options comes like that. First, data analyst. If I'm going into this data-driven technologies, if you're moving into these data-driven technologies, then data-driven technologies comes like this. First, you have to go with this data analyst, as you have to, you should have some experience as data analyst, then it will be very helpful. Then we'll go either data science or in data engineering. So these two, to some extent, some similarity is there, but these two is a two different options, career options in data-driven technologies. Now, what I have to do as a data analyst? Data analyst, sometimes we define them as visualization engineer. Means they have to deal with some historical data. Some data that is already stored somewhere. Some historical data about whatever the data it is. So they are going to deal with some historical data. And from that historical data, they are going to retrieve some information. And these historical data generally stored in as an XML or CSV or sometimes as a JSON also. Right. So mainly they are going to do the visualization part. Using this historical data, they are going to create some pie chart, bar chart. Like this way, they are going to create different chart to plot the data, basic modeling or some basic statistics they can implement using this historical data. So this is the job of the data analyst. And this comes, if you're coming into data-driven technologies, this comes as the first and foremost task. Someone should have some idea, some experience with as a data analyst, right? First, then you can go with either data science or data engineering side. These two options comes after this. Already you are familiar with how to deal with data, how to visualize the data, how in an XML format or CSV format or JSON format. And most of the time this type of basic visualization, you may have heard, some of the option like visualization, data visualization using Python, right? Like pandas we can use. Next we have some data visualization tool we use sometimes. So the main thing is that you have some of the data visualization as a data visualization engineer, where you are going to interact with some historical data. That is the job of the data analyst. You don't have to be very good specialist in algorithm, not required here as a data analyst. Now, when you're talking about data science specialist, here is a data analyst. You should know Python also, because Python with pandas, one of the data analytics, is very much popular. Python with pandas. Okay, now we're talking about data science. Now, data science here, here actually you're going to focus on. Here also you're going to focus on the historical data, but we'll collect historical data and predict the future model. That we are going to do in data science. What we do? We will collect historical data, historical data, and predict future model. Future model. This is the things that we do in our data science curriculum. Okay, now in this curriculum, we should know or we must know Python. We should, in this curriculum, we should experience ourselves with machine learning or deep learning or AI, right? Time series applications are there, image processing applications are there, where we have much more implementation of mathematics and statistics. So, okay, math and statistics. If you find with these modules, then go for data science, because it is much more specific to maths and it is statistics and their algorithm implementation into the higher level of data science, where you have to deal with some deep learning applications, or multiple deep learning algorithms are there, multiple machine learning algorithms are there, right? So main things of this data science is based on the historical data, predict the future model, some prediction of the future model. They are not doing the prediction. Data analyst is going to present the historical data. They are going to, using that historical data, how it worked in past, based on that they are going to extract the model, they're going to extract the features and create the model and use that model for future prediction in case of data science specialist. But our focus is on data engineering side, right? So what data engineer is doing? When you're going to work as a data engineer, the purpose, let me just write what data engineer do. Data engineer task is to deal with large amount of data and derive the insight from the data automated way. They are also dealing with data. They are also dealing with historical data, but data engineer mainly deal with big data, not the normal data or raw data. Data engineer always deal with big data. That's why big data, you have to remember that. Big data, that means that's why big data solution provider services we should deal with as a data engineer, because they are going to deal with big data. Now, how to handle big data, how to store big data, how to process big data, how to scale big data, we should know these services, not only using GCP but also the big data services provided by Hadoop. We should have some introduction on that side, right? Since the data engineer is going to deal with big data. So what is the purpose? What data engineer do? Let me just write one statement that data engineer skill set is to they create an application. They create an application that deal with large amount of data and they derive some insight from there. So data engineer, I'll tell you what type of application it is. So their purpose, data engineer job is to they create or build some application. They create or build some application that deal with that deal with some large amount of data, that deal with some large amount of data. Now, what is that application? What type of application it is? That application can be related to retrieving the insight from the data. That application can be creating a pipeline. That application can be pipeline to transfer the data from one location to another location. That application can be connect that pipeline using some AI/ML services. That application, right? So that application is related to this application is related to some big data. Okay, so that I'm just talking about. I'm coming into details step by step. So data engineering main task is they are always deal with some big data, and they try to create some application related to big data that is going to deal with big data, right? Okay, now sometimes they will say that I just told you that yes, that application can be that to get some insight from the big data, some prediction from the big data. So if I'm going to do some prediction from big data, that means you have to use some AI/ML, right? And sometimes big data engineer can get help from data science specialist also, because data science specialists, they are very much good and a specialist in AI/ML domain. So sometimes data engineer can deal with or interact with data science specialists to since data engineer have to implement some AI/ML services for the big data applications or big data pipelines, right? So they will interact with each other. Okay, now there is lots of services in big data domain. I'll talk about them. The different services like Spark is there in our Hadoop implementation. So if you're working as this big data engineer, remember data engineer, you should know some language also, like Java is must, because you have to know Java. If you are knowing Python, that is also fine, but these two languages you should know. You have to know, because either you are going to use Java to write some pipeline or Python, or both you should know. You don't know that the existing architecture, which application is already running, either it may be Java or using Python, or you have to implement that using Java or Python. It depends on. So both you should know, both the language you should know as a big data specialist, because you're going to work on some language. Scala is there. I'll come into those things step by step. Fine. Okay. So that we're talking about that. I just main purpose is to talk about the difference between these three designations, you can say, or career options in data-driven technologies, right? Fine. So our focus is